Now come back home. So this is not the project where we want build so, and make we see how this project could work for here. So I just give am one name, say na Pigeon GPT, and it just tell us say we never ask anything yet. So make we ask him something. Make we first tell him say hi. Make we see what he go talk. So if you come here and then you click ask AI, you go see say they ask me say how you dey, and it respond back in Pidgin English. This na ChatGPT where we dey use under the hood, and ChatGPT na just AI wey dey help us like an assistant. Make I just ask am some kind more questions. Make I say I dey find money, and you dey see say e dey respond. So you say e be like say you dey find money. I be wetin you wan take the money do? Na to find work or start business? E dey even ask me say shey I wan find work or I wan find business. So una don get the idea. Say this na our Pigeon GPT wey we build from scratch, and by the end of this video una go fit make una own to do even more. Before we start, I go just like thank all of una wey don dey subscribe. I see say our channel don dey grow small, and una wey don dey even comment. I appreciate say una even take time sef to dey comment, so una get mouth pass. As this community don dey grow like this, make we start to dey build community projects together. I go dey share these projects for our Telegram community. We go dey learn from each other for this tech thing where we dey do so. So I go break this video into two parts. The first part go be say we go first build the back end. We go dey run am on top our local machine. So I go show now for the second how we go take build the front end and how we go take deploy the application as a full stack application to a server somewhere on the internet, and if you share them with your future employers or your future clients. If you find the finished version of this code, no worry, I go drop the link so now fit clone them from GitHub. If you want to follow along, now fit make we start to build them from scratch. Before we start to do anything at all, you go need come this site. We dey call am Node.js.org. If you come here, you go need download Node.js and you go need install Node.js. No worry if you don't know Node.js, I go teach you now everything when you need Node. Now, what you want to do for here is say you go just come here, download the LTS version, and then secondly, what you go do is say you go need install PNPM. First install Node, and after you don't install Node, at that time you go come for install PNPM for here. So if you come this site pnpm.io, and if you come pnpm.io, you go come here. Make I minimize this one. You go come here, the installation side, and if you install PNPM by npm. So for your first time, you go just install them by saying npm install -g pnpm. So I dey inside my VS Code now, and I don't open up my terminal. The first thing we're gonna need do now, say we're gonna need first initialize PNPM. So make we say PNPM init for here, and this don't help us create this package.json file. So this package.json are just our control center for all the things, all our dependencies, all our scripts where we're going to run all those things. We go do that one for here. So make we install the following dependencies. So we just say pnpm add. So the first one we need now body parser. So we'll say body dash parser. We'll do space. Then we'll say we want the course. We'll say we want the .env. And then we go say also we want express. Make we press enter for here. This is going to install all our dependencies. As those dependencies they install, make we first change some of these settings for here so that we go feel they run our projects. For inside this test, make we first change and make we add our own script where we want. And then make we set up Node. Make we just call out, remember say you go need install Node for this script to run, and then we go just put the file where we want create. So we'll say we want the server.js, and make we create this server.js file. So for inside here, the root directory for here, what we go do is say we go come create a new file. So you go right click for here for VS Code, or you go just click here, this new file icon, and then we go just column server.js. So now this file we will write all our backend code. We're going to help us they serve our API for here. So we will come here, back into our package.json. We're going to need set up our server.js as the main for here. So we could just say we want server. As all these things don't install for here, what we're going to do is say, make we go back into the browser, make we start to set up our OpenAI. For inside my browser for here, so I get this OpenAI website. So you could just need come this side, OpenAI, and OpenAI now the company where they make this ChatGPT. As now go down here by now go figure online to see many other information about this kind of thing. But the idea is say we will be developers, so one way we say we feel they integrate this AI into all our application, and how we feel build our own chatbots for ourselves. So that's why we feel come here. So you could come into this developer side, and then you go click this overview for here. When you click this overview, it will carry you come this site for here. This overview or this site, this now platform.openai/overview. This site, if you see the documentation, if you reference the API for here, and if you see other examples for here, you understand. So I go advise you now, make una explore all these other examples, so that I will see how we they build this application and why we they do them the way we they do them. So make we log in. If you never get account with ChatGPT, you feel sign up here. But if you get account with ChatGPT or OpenAI, if you log in with that, we go log in with our Google account, of course. Correct. So I don't log into ChatGPT. If they do everything what you want, what you want to be say, we want to collect the API key. So make we come here into this profile for here, and then make we click on, and then you go come view API key for here. Now once you come this view API key, I don't get all these keys for here. You see, say I get many keys for here. So you could just come create new key. This will help me generate new API key. So never close this window. What you want to be saying, you want to copy this key, and then we go start to add them into our code. So make we go back into our VS Code. So OpenAI don't already get library where they don't build for us. So because Node.js and JavaScript, we feel use JavaScript, they interact with this. For inside the terminal for here, we go say make we run npm add, and then we go just add the package we want, which now OpenAI. So now once we don't press enter for here, this will just help us to install the package for OpenAI. But to get some kind of other things we're going to do, so make we go create an environment variable file. Then why we install this .env. So you go click new file, and then we'll say .env. And this .env will help us to manage our environment variable. And for inside the .env file, what we want to do is say we want to just add our environment variable here. So make we just call them OpenAI API key. And then make we add our new key. As we don't paste them, so we feel do anything when we want with this API key. Make we go into the server.js. We want first import our environment variable. So we'll say we want import all as .env from .env library. Once we import them, we're going to need to call them. So we'll say we want the .env.config. All right. After we don't call them like this, import OpenAI. The first thing we need from OpenAI now the configuration class. So we're going to import that one. And then the next one we're going to need for here now the OpenAI API. The next thing we need is say we're going to need to import those other packages. So maybe we first import them. So we'll say import, and I'm going to explain what in each one they do. So we're going to import the express. We will still import another one. We'll import body parser. We will still import course. Once we don't import all these packages, we want to configure our OpenAI. To do that, we go first create a variable, and we could call them OpenAI config. So we'll say OpenAI config. And if you call them anything you want, if you call them goat, if you call them monkey, no matter. And then for here, you could just say you want to do a new configuration. For inside here, we want pass an object. Now, this they expect the OpenAI key. Make we add our environment variable process.env. And as we do like this, this could give us access to the environment variable. Then make we say another dot, and then we go fit pass the name of the environment variable for this. So make we say we want initialize this config. So make we say we want them as a constant. So we'll just say OpenAI. Make we say we want involve a new class as this OpenAI API will be first defined for the top. Then we go pass in our configuration of OpenAI configuration for here. As we don't do it like this, the next thing we're going to do be say, make we try set up our server. Just underneath the OpenAI, make we say we want set up our Express server for here. So we'll say we want const app, and make we just assign them to Express. And as we don't assign them to Express here, so make we just create a port for our server, and this port make we just assign them to 8000. So make we use the middleware way Express they already give us. So we go say we want the Express, which now this app where we refer to, but we go say we want to use something, and then how we they use middleware for Express. We go say use. So we go say we want the body parser, and this body parser, it will help us to arrange the body or the format our code. We want make it help us arrange like JSON. Make we call the JSON method for here. The next thing we're going to do is say we just want to use Express again, but we want to use another middleware. I'm going to say use. So we'll say course, and we go call it like this. So as we call this course now we don't know what's in course error B. Now security measure we say browsers get, we say our code go fit they communicate with our server. But if you want video make I explain more in depth, just let me know. So make we just set up a route. So we'll say app dot get. So anytime we run a get request, we'll first put in the route where we want go. So we go say anytime we go the home page, the root directory which now slash. The second parameter will just be an anonymous function. So we go say now the fat arrow anonymous function we want run for here. Inside this anonymous function for here, let's make it just say we want pass in the request, okay? And the second parameter for inside this anonymous function now the response. So what we want to be say we want send response. We want call the send method on top the response. That's what we want to do for here. One simple message will just tell us say the server they work. This is supposed to give us this message anytime where we hit this route for our server, this home page or root directory on top our server. And just underneath here, make we just say we want listening to the server's port. Make I add a comment for now. And for here, make we start today listening to our server. So go say app.listen. For inside here, the first parameter where they take now our port, then at this port 8000 for here, we go pass that port in there. And the second parameter, of course, now a callback function. And then make we just CLG something, or make we just console log something for here. I used to run inside this console log statement, make we just say. So if we run our local host and we hit this URL for here, we won't get this message back. So make sure say our script they run. So we go come clean all here. Make we run our first script. So run them like this, say node server.js. So server.js. Make sure say you run this for inside your terminal, and this supposed to run our code. So we get an error here, and then because they use the import statements for inside our server file. So for inside our server file, they use imports. So make we fix that issue. We just need to come into your package.json, and for inside the package.json, we're gonna need just set the type. Make we just call them type. Can say if you choose either between common or module. So we're gonna say we want module. Now as we set them as module, this supposed help us run our code. So make we run them again, and this supposed tell us say you see our server is running on the server. So once you're done like this, I don't know why not to show my emojis, but our server don't they run. And make we try enter into our server. To enter the server for VS Code, you want to install this Thunder client. Once you install this Thunder client, go if you make requests. Once you don't install them, you'll click this Thunder client for here, and then we feel they make request from this Thunder client. So we could just say we want a new request. We want to run a get request, and this get request we want to run them from localhost. Don't forget put the request. So we'll say HTTP and make it done like this / localhost. And then we will just put the port where we want, which now the 8000 for our server. Once we done like this, we supposed to make a request, and then we're supposed to get this message for here. So this they tell us say our server they work everything now gang for us for here. So very good job guys if you make them this way. If you get any issue wait they work up to this point, no worry, no panic, just go back, watch the video again, rewind video again, go slow, then you go understand what they do for here. So as this they work, make we go back into our server.js. And then make we first end the server for here. So we'll say we want pnpm add, and we'll say we want node mon. And this will help us refresh our node server every time. This will help us save them as a dev dependency. Correct. So nodemon don't already install. So make we go back into our package.json. Make we add a new script for here. Make we call them our dev script. So we'll just duplicate this line, add a comma here. Then make we call them dev. And this dev script, make we just call them nodemon. And now, anytime we run our pnpm dev, so make we run here for inside our terminal. This will help us set up, fire our nodemon, and our nodemon, anytime we make changes on top of our server file, so we could come back into the server file, and then if we make changes for here, you just say now the server message, you don't clear for here. So yeah, that emoji thing don't sort for here, so make we save them, and now you just say our server don't they run. What you want to do for here is say, one express, which now our app, but one make a post request. So go say post, and one call on this post method. So we could just say, okay, one hit /API. And if we hit this API endpoint for here, so what we want to be say, we want to run an asynchronous function or a callback function. So we could just say we want async, and then we could call our anonymous function for here. Make we say, just like this one for here, we want the request, and the second parameter, we want set them as the response. Make we first say we want const, and make we just call this one the client message. Okay, and this client message, make we just assign them to the request, that's req.body. And what this go do be say, this go help us get what we put for the body of our request. Make we console log that value. Now, anytime when we send a post request to the API route, to this route for here, it go dey help us to the console log this value for here. Once we get that value for here, we go need to use the response to the send a response back from this backend to the user. That's not what we want to do with this server. So we're going to say we want response dot JSON, because we want to send the response back to the user as JSON. And then we could just call this key, make we call them completion. We could just put some kind of text, say hello from server. Make we test now, make we go back into our Thunder client, create a new request, because we want to create a post request. So we go say for here, instead of the get request, what you go do is say you go make a post request. So go come this post, and then we go just change this route from here to http :// and then we could just say localhost, but we want check the port of 8000. And now we go say we want go /API. So anytime when we hit this route /API, which now what we don't set for our server for the back end, when we hit this /API of this port, it's supposed to give us a response back. So make we post and make we see what's going to happen. So if I click there, you go see say we get this completion from server. Likewise, if we also want to send the body, because now JSON, what we're going to use, if you just come here into this body tab for here, so this is say this now JSON, that's why I get this quote for here for this row. Now when I don't know it's in JSON B, I drop video for now on top JSON. So now we go send them. So if I press send, you go see say we don't get our response from the server, and if you look here, you go see say we get our message inside the server. So that's not very interesting thing. I hope so now don't understand what they try to do, what I try to explain. So make we come back into our code. Make we just clean this console log even. Under this client message, make we say we want const, and make we just call this chat completion. And this chat completion, make we assign them to an await, because now synchronous function where they work with, we feel make an await for them. Then we go say we want the OpenAI.create chat completion. It's a method where they accept an object. Now, this object, it they collect the model. So, what will be the model? Well, the model, if you come to the documentation for here, you go see say the models na just the kind API wey OpenAI get for us. So the one we will work with na this one. We want work. So if you come here, click on, you go see say we get different versions of this ChatGPT 3.5. Make you just copy them for inside our code. We could just put them for inside quotes. So you go now need to send your message. So the message we want now accept an array of objects. So we want an array where they collect different objects. And for inside this object, what we want say, they say we want set the row. And if we set this row, we want set it to system. And the second item for this object as the content. So whatever content where we get for here, now we want put. But before that, because we dey set the system for here, then our ChatGPT system go tell this ChatGPT completion or content waiting we want to make it be. So I could just give them anything when you want. So you could just say, you be my helper for now. Make we just say we want our client message as the second object or any other object with the inside here. Now, as we don't do them like this, make we just talk say we want test say our code they work. What you want to say, make we first console log this chat completion. And make we see what in this chat completion they do for us for here. So make we go back into the request form for here. And then make we send another post request. Make we say we want something like hi. So make we say hi. So the reason why we get this error be say we never configure our header. As we don't set the body like this, we go also need set our headers. So and for here we'll come say the content type. Make I clean these ones because we don't need these ones now. Once set the value of this content type to application/JSON. Click here. So now you see say we dey get a response back from the user, and our status code now 200, which means say everything they work senge menge for here. Minimize this one. Make I just drop this come down small. And then what we're going to do for here is say we want to come back into our server. If the status message, then our dot status, if now 200, we want to do the JSON. This JSON, where we go to get, we go to use and they send our response back. Remember, if you look for inside this object for here where we get, you go see say we get many things where they here. So make I scroll down, make I show now. So if I come inside this data for here, you go see say we get our message. Now, how we go take work with this data? Make we just come back down. Oh, sorry, make I put this down. And then what we want to do is say for inside this our completion now, this completion object, now we want to apply this our chat completion where we just built. So we say chat completion dot data, and this go access the data object. But inside this data object, make we try console log, see what we get. So we go say data. I go even just leave this out first. So if I click here again and say we want to send the same request, and you see say we get these choices. So you get how we're going to work with these choices array. So make we go back into our server. We want to access the choices. Now, as we don't access these choices, we want to take the first parameter, we want to take the first item from this choices array, which now 0, right? And then we want to take the dot message, all right? Once you do them like this, we suppose they get a message back from ChatGPT. So make we press save for here and make we see how we fit test them. So make we go back into our Thunder client, hit the API again, and now we're supposed to get a response inside our console where if we say hi, then it will say, hello, how can I assist you today? You see, say the role now assistant and the content now from ChatGPT. So what we want to do is say, as we don't get these settings or our response back from ChatGPT and we don't work with them, what we want to do is say we want to export them. So I could just console log this, I could just comment this console log message out and then comment this JSON data, and then we could just say, okay, for inside here, what we want to do is say we want to add this code for here. So I could just leave this here for now, make una see say now so we they get this chat back from ChatGPT. So the way we take do am for here, this you be my helper. Now this now what we they call few shots learning. And this few short learning, now just say we dey teach them in a very short way as a prompt. Wetin it be, how it go to be. You get other ways where if you even still customize your model. And if you now want to see video of how we dey fine tune our models, make una let me know. So I go show now how we dey fine tune a model for here. But the idea be say we fit fine tune them to wetin you want make it be. So make I quickly fine tune this one into the one we're going to speak pidgin English for us for here. And as I don't do them like this, I just tell them say in a GPT, a powerful pidgin English translator will be chatbot, and I just tell them say all you go to talk now for pidgin English, and I tell them say now me or now we make this application for here for our small community for here. Now this little information will make this machine or this API come the thing say him now really pidgin GPT in B. Test them again. Make we go back into our request and make we hit send for here. Make we see what you do, and you dey see say the response here it don dey show say how you dey my person. Wetin you want talk about. ChatGPT don dey respond as we want. But make we try give am some kind other parameters. Like I go like give am a temperature. Temperature now say if you want make the response or make ChatGPT dey precise or make it dey creative. So we'll say temperature. And this temperature, we go come give them the value where you want. So they take anything between 0 to about 2, I think. So make we just say 0.3 for here. And now, if we try run that our request again, it will give us a different response. Make we try it. So if we come here, make we see what send go do. You go see say it come they give us a different response. It says, how you dey? Waiting I fit do for you. And it go dey less creative. If we say make we increase that value even self to 3, to 2, make we see what's going to happen. So if I clean that up and say 2, make we try send a request again. So if you come here and then we say make we press send, it don't go do freestyle, can't they write the wiki do way you want to do. They even they write one language, I don't even understand. But now get the idea. So the temperature, now in the make they behave the way they behave. So we just set them to 0.3. If you use 0.6, if you use 1. As we don't do it like this, all our backend don't set up. We go need way where we say we go feed they send this request instead of make our customers or clients they use this standard clients to they make requests. What you want to be say we want build the front end. So now if we look inside this our folder, you can see say we get this backend all set up on top our root directory. So make we create a new folder here. Make we call this folder front end. Make we first end our server. Then make we navigate into the front end. So to do that, make I just make this bigger for now. Make we just change directory into this front end directory. And as we did inside there for inside our terminal, so what we go do be say we want to add all the other packages where we need. So make we say we want to run pnpm create vite. Now this will help us create a vite project for here. So make we just leave them say this now our front end. Just set them to React, say we want React, and then we go say we want the JavaScript version of React. Make sure say you dey inside your terminal for inside this directory because this go act as the front end root directory. So we go just press install. This go install all our dependencies for us. All our dev dependencies, everything we need, it don't set up for here. We don't install everything. So you go look into our package.json for the front end. You go see say we get everything for here where we need for our project. So we get Vite, we get React setup. You get some kind of things people go like do. But first, make we run the code. Say everything they work. So we go say pnpm, and we go run this dev script where they here for inside this Vite script for here. So we say dev, and once we run it like this, this supposed to open our browser. It's supposed to run our front end code on top this localhost 5173. This is not the Vite default setting. So if I press Ctrl and click, you go see say it go open our Vite React project, which now the standard project where they follow Vite they come. So now when we don't get this script and everything done they run, we could go back into our VS Code. And what we want to say for inside this src, so make we go into the app.jsx. Now here we go clean all this other code. So make I just reduce this one here, this my terminal, and I go clean all the code all to the top for here. Then make we say we want even clean the state, because we go change the state eventually. Make we come out these two logos where they here. Make we even come out the css, and then make we come out the app.css. So because I want to delete that file for here. So now we just get this app and we get the index. The index.css, make we clean all this. We go replace all the CSS in a bit. I go just copy the code, paste now. I go show now. So make we come here into the app.jsx. I would like to change them to a class. Make we just give this class name main, and we go use these classes to style our CSS and all those kinds of things. That's not all we use these class names for here. But for inside this div here, make we just say we want a h1. After we don't write that h1, make we just say we want a div, and we want this div make it get a class of log. And this log, now here we're going to put all the lists where we say all the chats where we say ChatGPT go to follow us, they respond with. So we could just say we want a UL, and this UL is supposed to get children. Make we just say now simple li, make we just say list one. So once we do it like this, we kind of get these two items here, right? This one will be used or said. This second text for here, pigeon GPT says. So this will just help us differentiate between the two elements within inside this list for here. We go need also get the form. Another form we're going to use, they send our prompts, or they create our prompts they send to ChatGPT. So what we want to say, we want a form. So we'll say form, not a class of form, but we want a form element. And this form element, make we say it gets a child of inputs. After that input, we also want a button. So we'll say btn for there. If I press tab here, we could just clean this action for here, because we don't want any action. And for the input, what we want to do for the input, we say we go set the type to text, and then we go just set the name to prompt. As we do it like this, say the name go be prompt, make we give them a placeholder. This go be our placeholder. And for inside this button for here, what we want to be say, we want a way where we say we submit the button. So we're gonna make the button a type of submit, and then make we just say ask AI as the content or the text for this button. So we say ask AI. And just like that, we suppose don't get our front end code. Make we go back into the front end. What we want to do is say, make we add some styles for here first. Make we make sure say we don't arrange ourselves. And to add this style, since this no be CSS video, what we go do is say, if you don't know all these things, you have to watch my CSS playlist, you have to watch that one, and then we're going to understand all the CSS while we're here. So what I go do is say, I go just copy all my CSS for the GitHub repo. So I could just paste them just to add the style, and we'll move fast for here. So if I press save, go back into the project. So you see say we get this list for here, and we see say we get this for here also. So it just arrange all our styles for here, and even say it they even responsive. So make we check, say they respond. They very responsive. But if we say hello, they work, they submit, they work, it just they pass the parameter here as a local host, and it even refresh the page. So make we start to add those ones, and then we're going to add the values for the chart, so that we're going to see our chart. Then we'll go connect them to the backend. And now for inside the app.js, since we don't already import our use state hook, what we're going to do is say we want call const. Make we say we get this array here, and we destructure this array from the use state hook. Make we just call them for here, and make them an empty string for the initial value. Then waiting we put this for. Now for inside this array, as we did the structure around, make we first name our hooks. Make we just call them user value, and then make we call set user value. What we want to be say for inside here, we could just say for inside this input, we want to add our value. So we'll say this value now go be anything where the user value be, anytime when we put something in this user value, 9 go be this value for here. Okay, 9 we want as the value. But also we want an onChange event. So we'll say onChange. And this we know say they take in a function. And this function they take in an event which we could call E. And we could just say as they call E for there, we want set the state of the user value. This E dot, and we want the target value. So make we see how it will behave. Make we try console log something else. So we're going to see our console log. Now when you know waiting all these things be, go check the other video on React. You go understand all these things about hooks and all these things what they do. We could just say we want the user value whenever I change. So make we go back into our browser and make we start to add some code here. Make we start say hello, and you see say it console log these values for here. So anything when we do, it's going to give us that code for here inside our console, right? So we could go back into our code, clean this out. We want to create something that will happen whenever we submit the form. So we're going to say on submit, on top the form, submit. Whenever we submit the form, we want a function make it run. So we want an on submit function, and make we call or make we create this on submit function where we want. Now it will happen whenever we submit the form. Just for here, create that function. So we'll say const on submit, and this part arrow function, what we go do, we say, so we want the event, or we want the event, and then we want to say we want the event dot prevent default. And if we call this function like this go prevent the form for submitting. Make we just console log a simple message. Make we just say this value will be user value. So we suppose the console log the user value whenever we hit this, and this no supposed to refresh the page. Make we try on. So we say hello. We're going to get the value for here, say hello. And the page, they submit again, everything they work the way we want to make it work. If we click on, this is where they get the value, and they refresh the page. So make we go back into our code editor, clean this value for here. Now, what we want, we say we want some sort of object. And this object, just like the object we get for the server, we're going to say we want the role, role. As now role, we're going to say we want to make the value of this role, make it be user. And as we don't set them to user, make we set the content, anything where the user puts, now we want. So we're going to say user value. So now our content will be the user value. Okay, so make we assign them to a variable. So make we just call this variable const message. And make we just assign them to that variable for there. So this message now for here, they help us they arrange all our messages where we they get from the user. Make we try run our fetch request. Make we say we want fetch, and of course, say our code they run on the server on the backend somewhere. So what we want to do is say we want set the path to that backend. So we go say this path to this backend now HTTP. Since they're secure, we go say HTTP, but we want local host, and then we want set the port. Remember the port where we set for the backend now 8,000, but we define the path or the file will be /API. Now the second parameter we want for here, now we want an object, and this object we're going to give them a method, and this method now it collect the post, make a post request. So this go be post request. So just the way we configure this our Thunder, this post request for here, now we they try do the way we take down for this our Thunder clients, now we they try do for this our front end. So we go say now post request. Because now post request, we go also need to give them a header. Remember, I say we don't add header for before. Now if we come inside our Thunder client and we come inside header, so we get this code for here. So this content type and application JSON and all that good stuff. So we need do for here. So also, so we go set our header. But this our header now, it is taking an object, and this object we go say okay, it collect content dash type. Make sure say you spell out exactly like this. This one you supposed be the follow, you supposed be this same. No fi call am goat, you know fi call am monkey, you must be this. Okay, so once you do it like this, what you want to say, we will come say application. So just like we did before, application, I'm going to /JSON. So that means say this application, they expect JSON. Okay. After this header, where we get for here, now here we want to come past the body. Now, once we get that body they run, what you want to do is say we want to run the default or follow com JSON object, but we want call the stringify on top them. The stringify method, what they help us do, they say they help us they convert them as JSON for us. Whatever object where we get, it could they pass them as JSON. And of course, which object we want pass? We want pass this object for here. Then add this message where they here. So whatever message we get, so we go say we want pass message into this body as JSON. So anytime we hit this request now, like this, anytime we make this fetch request for here, it go they run and it go they pass this message, whatever we type into the user information or the user state for here, it go they pass that state as a message into this body as JSON. Where we say our back end now go con they expect them, and once you see them, it go happy for us for here. This is our response. If you don't come back immediately, so one thing we go like do is say we go like make them asynchronous. All right. Now to do that, make sure say you come here on top this our function here, and then we go just say async. So this go make our request asynchronous. But since our request don't be asynchronous, we feel await our fetch request. So we say const, and make we call this response. As we call our response, make we assign them to something, to this fetch, but we go say await. I can spell them await or wait. So we go say await for here. So this go wait until a response comes back. As we do them like this, it not gonna make sense whether we feel just wrap them inside a try catch block. Right? So meaning say we want to try something, and if it go well, then we want to try fetch the request, and if the request work well, then we go give the user back on the front end. But if the request go bad, then we gonna need to do something. So make we wrap this code for here inside a try catch block. So what I'm going to say for on top here, I could just say try and catch, and for inside here I feel they put all the code where I want. So I could just come here and copy this whole one, make we move them into the try block. Okay, and for inside this try block now we get our functioning code. So our code will run, but make we just say if we get an error, make we just say clg or console.log and then make we just log out an error, or this error where we get for here. Okay, now if the response works correctly, then if we try them and the response works correctly, we go like do something with them, right? We want await the response. So I get the spell wait, so we go say await, and when we await this response, what we want to say, we want to convert them back to JSON. So whenever the response done from the server give us something, we want to set them to JSON for here. So we will call them, say this is not JSON what they expect to, but make we assign them to a variable so we feel they work with them. So we'll say const data, and make we just assign them to this variable for here. Make I scroll down small for now. What I want to do is say I want first console log the data. Make we go back into the browser. Everything on the work. So make we say hello, and we press enter or click here. Okay, we get some sort of error, and this error they come based on say connection they refuse. The reason we say our server they on for our local side. So we can go back into our VS Code, and if you look, you can see say our server they only run on our front end. They run our backend server. So you'll come this icon for here, and then you go click on this split tab, or you go press Ctrl Shift and 5. As we don't click now, we don't open this terminal for here. So now what we feel do, we say we feel on they run our back end. So if you check this directory where we did, so you go see say we did our root directory for here. What we want to do, we want to run our npm command. So we go say pnpm run dev. And now our dev server, they run for our server here. So if we come back into our local host, make this request again. Our server supposed to respond, and you just say our assistant, they respond for here. So make we go back to browser, make we see whether we go get something. So we say hi, and we make that request for here, we get something back. So if you check out, we they see say we they get a response back from ChatGPT's API. Make we go back and make sure say you leave your front end running and you leave the back end also running for here for our local machine. Make I just close this one, come out. For inside here, what we want to do, we go enter back into this our onSubmit function where we work with. We want to use this information, do something. So make I just duplicate this line and then we'll just change this hook. We want to call them chat log, and this chat log, make we just say we want set the chat log. So go say set chat log. So this hook go first be an empty array. That's why we go assign them to an array instead of a string like we do for the value here. Because we want them as an array, we're going to save anything where we put inside. We want to go use this array now where we don't get for here. We want to put them inside our data. We want to pass this data where we get into this array. What thing I want to do is say, I want to set the chat log data. What we want to be say, we want to pass in a callback function. All right, and this callback function are just simple fact arrow function, but the parameter for this callback function now the current value. So we'll say current for here, and once we get that current value, what we want to be say, we want pass them into this array. Okay, so we want return an array from inside this callback function. That's what they do. Now this array now, what they do be say we want take waiting the previous value of this array b, which now the current, as we done this one way there for here. So we want take that current value and then we want do something with them. We go like first spread all the values way there inside them. So we go use the JavaScript spread operator. So we go spread all that value into this array. But no be there, we no go just stop there. We go cross the talks. We want to add the message. So we go say message, and remember say this message now, this message for here will be the structure as the user's message. Then and only then we want to add the data dot completion. So make we see, we go into the list and we want show for this front end for this list here. So for here, for inside this unordered list, what we will do is since we're inside JSX, we go feel write our JavaScript expressions for inside here, which now chat log, and one map over RAM. So we'll say dot map. That means say we want create another copy of this array, and then we want to do something with this copy of this array. It is taking a callback function. This callback function, of course, in its first parameter, make we just call them chat for here. And if you say now we will get the first parameter as the chat, we go talk say now we want make it return something. So we just they say okay, well, make it just return something. That's why we use the fact arrow function, and then we go carry this chat where we just get for there. Then we go say if the chat row, and we will say if this chat row, make we use triple equals, they equals to the user. Remember say we suppose get either user or we suppose get we suppose get user or assistant or system. Then we want to do something. So we can say now want to say in our expression with the right, we want compare if that event don't happen. So we'll say if that happen, then we want to do something. And what we want to do is say we want to take this first array and put that here. Oh, sorry, this first list of usage, then make we put them there so that it will be the user we say this kind of thing. All right. And then we want to say if that not be the case, otherwise, then because we use ternary operators for here, we want to say otherwise, make it do something else, of course, which now the second one say GPT go say something. So if we press save for here, we suppose get this two items we're going to show, we're going to map over them because we just show only this empty text. So make we add the other element for inside here. We could just say we want a span, make it just help us do something. So we will put some JSX inside this span tag, and we will say the span tag it expect chat.content. So we'll say content. This is going to give us the content of our items where we expect. So make we come also, make we do the same for inside the second li. So I could just duplicate this content here and we go press save. So we get these two, which now li, which this one now for ChatGPT for the bottom, and the other one for the top now for our own conversations with ChatGPT. So make we go back, make we say hi, we get a response back. All right, cool. So no worry about this issue. We go fix this now. But now we get the response back. So they see our message of hi, and we see our ChatGPT response on the front end of our application. So remember, we run this on top our local machine, and our server they run on the back end for our local machine. That's how all these things they work, but they interact with ChatGPT's API. So what we want to do is say we want to now take all these things. Now make we fix this bug for here. I'm sorry, not the bug, but make we fix this list. If you never watched the video about list where I explain more about list for React, go watch that video too. You can understand what's in the cause this warning for here. Even though they work, it no be best practice to leave this warning here. So we go fix them. Make we go back into our code editor, and just for here we go just talk say we want to add our ID. So right now we just say we want just add the ID as our second parameter. So make we just call them IDX, okay, as per index, because the second parameter of this map method they give us the index of the item of each item. So we want to take that index now, and we want just make we just pass them in as key just to fix that issue there. So we go say IDX. Make we do the same for this one also. Of course, if you make this a component and then you feel just work with them, but since this is a very small application, I just will say make we just work with them. And for those of us who know React, make we dey familiar with this kind of thing, make we know they confused. Moving on, make we say that error don't go. Make we go back into our VS Code, and of course, if we make we refresh, that error go don't clear. So if we say hi again, we get a response back. Awesome. So what if we get an error? What if the server did down or something happened? We suppose get some sort of method or error handler. So make we go back into our code. We go help us arrange this code back. So for here now, what we want to do is say we want to scroll to the top of inside this our function here before we start to even the user. What we want first quickly clean the console log out, and then underneath this function for here, underneath this hook for here, where we set this hook, we want to do something. So we want to clear all the items we go there inside this here. We want to reset them back to this value for here. Remember, I say whenever they change the value, we they update the state for here, but we don't want to update the state. Instead, we want now just update the state, but give them back to in default value, which now set user value, and we want to set this user value to just an empty string. So this will help us clean the value whenever we do. Make we test run now. Make we say body then can be I did well. If we tell them like this, and then we click on this, make we see already our text don't clear, and ChatGPT they work for us. Nice for here. So make we go back into our VS Code, and now what we want to be say, make we add that error handling. So we'll say if something don't happen, that now if the response dot status, if that status now, if you know day equals to 200, we want to do something. And what we want to be say for inside this if block, let's say we want throw an error. So we go say throw. What we want to be say, we want throw this error as per the data.error, which will come from our server. Otherwise, we even do a new error. We want to take the error constructor and want to use this error constructor now. We want to say what we want to do for here now. Make we even make this with backtick. So we want to say make the request no gree go. So this is not just our own error handling for something when no gree work. So we could just put that there. I'm going to say response dot status. And now like this go handle our error messages whenever we get any error for here. So make we check our application again. And if you check here, you go see say everything don't they work. But if we restart our page now, you can see say we don't get any notification, and for the finished version we get a notification for here. Make we go back into our VS Code, and for inside this VS Code we want set a way, maybe say we're going to check if the chat log no day. Make we just down for here. So we can just say const is empty. Una go don't know what thing they try to do. Some of them don't watch my previous video. You can see say if this is empty, so ty, we go just assign them to something. So we go say if not chat, that now this chat log state where they here, now if it dey like this, empty dot length. So we want check if it dey empty, as it dey like this, it go dey empty, then we want do something. Otherwise, if other elements dey into RAM, if items don't dey added into RAM, then if data dey inside here, then we want this expression go be false for here. So right now it go to return true, but if we change, it go to return false for here. And then if we come down here, make we go to the bottom of the list and just inside after the li, but still inside the ul, what we want to be say, we want to add our JSX for here. I want to say is empty, which could return true or false as a boolean. If it's really empty, then make it just return a h1 or rather h2. And this h2, now here we could come say you never ask anything yet. So if you check our code again, or if you check our browser, we're supposed to get that text for here, say you never add anything. And of course, if we say I dey find money, you go see say it dey respond, and that error or that message will be put for here don't go. So una fit add more functionalities to this. Una fit add loading screen. I know say that one not there. Una fit add sounds, or una fit even add more themes, and just explore with these kind of things. I go dey very excited to see what una fit build on top this thing. Of course, if you want to share your work, share them for the community. We always like see that kind of thing. So if we say now we want to deploy this on a server, before we go fit deploy our application, we go need go do some kind settings. Well, first of all, our code go need dey the internet, because right now it dey only on top our machine. So make we just quickly deploy our backend or deploy our whole code base into GitHub. And because I dey use VS Code, I could just come here into this Git for here, this Git icon. And then I go just say I want initialize a repository. It go help me initialize a repository for my GitHub. So because I never do some kind certain things, GitHub, it no go work for me. You go see say it dey show all these files for here. That are because I never create a git ignore. So we go come back into our root directory, make sure say na the root directory, because as we don't bundle a git ignore file, so what we want to be say, we want just maybe duplicate this copy and then just put them for the server. That go help. So I go just copy that and then right click again and make we paste that in for here. So this now go stop the other files, all those plenty files where we see for here, to the go git. There one more issue where they here, and that na the .env. So if you click this our env, you go see say this our API key is there here. And if we push our code for on top GitHub by clicking on this icon for here, you go see say our env dey inside our git files where we want stage and then we want make commit on top. So what we gonna need do be say we gonna need add this .env into our delete or our ignore files. So to do that, you could just say star, then all.env, now you want ignore. Then we go just press save for here. So now this go comot the .env from the list of files. So that's why we use this file, this .gitignore file. I just say show una all these things so that una go get that experience of how you work with these kind of things. All right. So if you come here, maybe we add new file, and the new file we want now the .env. And we won't call this .example. Waiting this file be say it create a copy or hint so that other developers for future fit they work with this file. So if you just copy everything for here, put them inside this example file, but instead of make we they put this API key where I go still delete, so make una no try use this key text here say. So make we press save, and this one we no get problem to push them into GitHub because it is safe. So make we close here and make we close the ignore, and then make we push this code go GitHub. So we just say initial commit, and then make we hit commit for here. As it don't commit the code for us, what we're gonna need do, we say we're gonna need publish this code. So when we hit publish, it go ask us if you want make a public or private repository, but me I go just say make I make this one a public repository so that when I go fix it, and then once we publish that file, it go there our GitHub. So if we click here, it will open my GitHub and it will show this file. If you click on our own, you go go the file save. So this now all our code for our whole application, and una fit use this anytime where you want. If you come here into the front end, you go see say we get all our front end code for inside here. So if you come inside the main app, you go see say we get our back end inside the root directory. As we get this code for here, make we go render. So you're going to come this site with the column render.com. And if you come render, they get free plan where say you feel they use to they host any kind of application where you want build. Some of them don't know Heroku, and you go know say Heroku can't start to collect money from some of us, and that's why we they use this render for here. And render, they give us a web server, they help us deploy static websites for like React. If you even deploy cron jobs, and if you do other things with this render. And one of the things where I like be saying are free, and you feel they use them, they run your projects on top of them. But what we want to do be say we want just create an account, and then we will get access to all these things. So click on getting started if you never create an account, or you sign in if you get an account. Me, I go sign in. You feel sign in with your GitHub, your GitLab, or your Google for here, but me, I go just use my GitHub. So what you want to be say this now here you go to see all your projects, but now go see different projects for here. You go see other kind things for here. So you go to see your web server, you go to see all these options for your screen if you never get any project for render. And when you click web service, if we add our ChatGPT, make it connect to this ChatGPT for here. Now when we add this ChatGPT, we will come give our server a name. So make we just call them pgpt-api. And then if you choose the server where we want, you go choose the one where the closest to you. I go just leave them for default. If you leave them for default, you go choose the branch. So if the project get different branches, you go choose that branch. And then make we set the root directory as dot. All right. And then since we use Node for our server, if you choose any of them for here, if you use Python and Rust and all that, but we use Node with our npm. But we know they use yarn, and because we know they use yarn, we use pnpm. And we want to say install. This will help us run pnpm install to install all our dev dependencies for here. And then once we don't set up our pnpm, we go also want another command where we go to run. So make we come back into our VS Code and make we see the command where we want to run for here. If you come and look into our file explorer, and then you come into the package.json, you can see we get two scripts. And the first script where we first set up, remember, now our start script, and then the other one, our dev script where they use nodemon, right? So we want to run this our start script. So remember, if you run our pnpm start, so go come here, and then go say once you don't install the packages, then you go run pnpm start. Now that will help us run node on our server from the root directory. All right, we will leave these settings as is because now free. If you want to pay more, now there you go, if you pay all these ones, but we go leave them like that. Now, because our server, they use environment variables, then if you don't know what's in the environment variable be, then the thing where we don't put since this secret for here. Because if they use this environment variable, what we're going to do is we're going to need way to put this information on the server. So I could just need copy this information, or make we just leave this open first. For inside render, you go click this advanced. Never click here, you click advanced. Once you click advanced, you go add environment variables for here. So if I click environment variables, now here we add the key, paste them inside here as the key, our OpenAI key, and then make we put the value. Once you do them like this, no other thing where we need do. So once we click here, this will help us build our server. It will help us host our server, and our application go to run from that API's endpoint. And you just say it install all our dependencies, it will install all our dev dependencies as we want. And this will take some time only because say now the free version. If it day faster, it go, if now more storage where we buy or we pay for them, it go load faster, no worry. So now our site don't be live for here. Once you don't see this live, it means say our server don't deploy. So if you copy this URL, or if you just click here, it will open up for another tab. We click and we're supposed to see something from ChatGPT, and you see say we get our API, they work for us for here. So woohoo, congratulations, una don't try gan. What I'm gonna do be say we're gonna take this URL or this route we did for here. So we go use to the call as or to the call on our API. So make we copy them and then make we go back into our front end code. Make we close this environment variable, and for inside the front end, instead of make our request to this back end API, as a matter of fact, we even stop our back end, and then remember say we put our backend for here, so we don't stop our backend server. We want to change the route where this API they fetch from. This go into our path to go collect our API. But remember, say we put down for /API. So anytime when we hit this route, it's supposed to interact with this post request, and then it go work for us. So make we save the code. So since our front end 9 they run for here, so what we will do be say we could go back our project for the local, for our local side. So make we say alpha, and ChatGPT they work with our API key, and the answer will say they can pay. So this make a lot of sense, because now we don't call our API from a remote server on the internet. So make we deploy the front end. Just click new and then come static site for here. Once you click static site, you'll come this PGPT, our Pigeon GPT. And then for here, inside this PGPT, what you want to be say, you want to give them a name. So make we just give them PGPT. Just to say this name, now the URL where render go to use the form your site for you, where people feel use access them, like domain name. And we go leave the branch as master. We will just add the path to our root directory. So because our root directory now our front end, we go say we want the ./front end. We want to run certain commands. So the first command we want to run a pnpm, and we want to run this our pnpm install, which will help us install all the dependencies for our code. Then we want to run the build command, which now the pnpm build, and this will help us build our front end. It will help us minimize the code. It will help us remove code where we know they use. It will help us do tree shaking, all those things where Vits they help us do. It will help us bundle them and all that. Then I'm waiting to try to do with this pnpm build for here for production. And then when it builds for production, it always gives us this output folder. It always gives us this distribution folder based on Vits. So what we want to be say, we want to give the directory to that distribution folder. So we go say the directory we're going to use for the front end now the ./dist. Then distribution. So DIST for here. So now, because our project no they use any environment variable for the front end, we no need go this advanced tab. So make we just click create new site. This will help us build our website or our front end of with React and everything. It go build them and it go deploy them for us. Just stay patient, it go finish. So our site don't dey live for here. If you check out, you can see say now our site don't dey live, and if you check here, our site dey live. So make we open them, make we check them. And you see say if you come this gpt.onrender.com, you go see say we get our front end. So make we check say our front end don't they work with our back end. Make we say hi. So if you check, you go see say we dey get this issue for inside our fetch error. That's because we never deploy our code. So make we come here back into our VS Code, and then because we don't already build this out, then we don't already modify our route. Instead of making it work with our local host, make it work with the remote server, we never push that code to GitHub. So make we anytime where we make changes to our code, we go they push them, and render go they help us they deploy them automatically. And once you done like this, say added remote server to front end, make we commit them. Once you commit them, if you click here, push our code, so you go click push. So once it goes on GitHub, render go start to build our code for us, and then we're going to work with that code. So make we try the code again. Once render, don't build and finish. And you see say our site don't build and it don't day live. Even day faster than before because we use PNPM. So make we just click them again, make we try them again, make we say hi, click here. And as we don't talk hi, you see say it don't they give us our response and everything don't they work directly from the backend. So make we try and say everything they work the way we want to make it work. How they find info. So that's how they use OpenAI's API and we build this front end and back end. So I hope say una really enjoyed this video. If una enjoyed this video, I beg make una like and make una subscribe. Make una also share this video. They bring some nice videos for this and make una join the community so that una feel they learn with all of us and we feel they all grow together. So thanks so much everyone for watching. I'll see you now for the next video.